All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Practical Tactical. We got Todd Kluttz here, former U.S. service member. How many deployments have you had?
3.
3? Okay, so he's had 3 deployments. Lives here in Myrtle Beach now, and we're just gonna have him go on a little bit about what you done, who you are, and then we'll talk about some fun shit.
Okay. Yeah. So I went into the Army in 2006. Is that right? Yeah, 2006.
Height of the war.
Height of the surge that was, the surge was just about to come forward there in Iraq. So funny story is my degree is in education, and I did my student teaching at a middle school. I said, screw this, I'm going on active duty.
Okay.
Which I knew at the time meant I was probably going to go to war. Yes, I would rather go to war than work in a middle school.
Fair enough.
And so I filled out my dream sheet and said I want to be in the infantry because, you know, your country's at war and you want to be a part of it. Let's just be in the infantry and get it over with.
Right.
So that's what I did. And then branched over to Special Operations Command and went to Civil Affairs. So I did a deployment in Iraq as an infantry officer, then went to training there at Fort Bragg, stayed at Fort Bragg, and deployed to Afghanistan and West Africa.
Wow.
So 2 combat deployments and then a non-combat deployment.
Winning hearts and minds.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's the easy way to describe what we did, right?
Yeah.
But we went over, our job was really to, in effect, I say counterterrorism, not in the normal sense, but like gaining information and trying to assess vulnerable populations so that they weren't so vulnerable to terrorists, right? I mean, if they need resources, people all around the world, whether poor or anything else, they need resources. They need things. They need clinics. They need fields for their farms and everything else. And they can get it from their government. They can get it from some other NGO, or they can get it from a terrorist organization.
So they're going to get it where they can get it. Right?
And we would go in and try to prevent them from getting it from a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
So, I did that. Spent 9 years in total. And toward the end, I had 2 girls at home, and just to be completely transparent, I had a wife, a marriage that was getting pretty rocky. And so it was a decision to stay in and do the job that I was loving to do, or put that on the table and go do something else and stay married, which now here we are at 18, going on 19 years of marriage. So
you did the right thing.
It's working out.
Yeah. All for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was the decision I had to come up with.
Yeah. Was that easy?
To make the decision was easy.
Mm-hmm.
To follow through with it and then actually execute on the backside was extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And part of that was, I'll say identity crisis, because after being in for 9 years, going through those deployments, working with some of the soldiers that I worked with, which was just incredible, that's who I was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, before, if you ask me who was I or what do I do, I'm a soldier. And so that came before saying that I was a father or a husband or a Christian or anything else. I was a soldier. And to just simply take that uniform off one day was easy to take it off, and then it was hard to deal with it, the next morning.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. I remember driving to work my first day as a civilian, driving to my new job, and damn near having to pull the truck over because I was crying.
What was your first job you were going to?
My first job, I was in manufacturing. I went in as a supervisor in a manufacturing facility. That's
way different than taking care of your team downrange.
Yeah, and you can get through it, and working with still good people. There ain't nothing different about them. They want to come to work. They want to do a good job, make the products, meet their numbers, etc. But there's a difference in producing widgets and getting them out the door versus leading folks downrange.
Yeah, 100%.
Just a different thing.
I don't think a lot of people can compare that or understand unless they've been in the service.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would. I think my brother's a cop actually, and he talks about it a little bit. But even then, and he was National Guard and all, and it's still not the same. It's close, it's similar, but it's still not the same.
I think it's much different, even from being a cop and being in the military, like it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging up the police uniform was much easier than turning around and leaving the service because it took a little bit of adjustment, and you miss your team, you miss the people you spend every day with, people have your six, and like in a jam, like your team it's your family. It is like 100%. You spend 100% of your time with these people, it becomes family.
Yep, 100%.
But
and I think that the big thing too is then going downrange with them. That's all you got.
Yeah,
I mean, you might be at a mega fob, or you might be out at some, outpost, VSO, whatever else they're going to call it now, VSP rather, and that's all you got.
Huh.
I mean, those 3, 4, 12, 20, however many people beside you in the middle of nowhere, it puts a different perspective on life,
on the world entirely. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of my story. That's kind of how my wife's from Chicago. And so when I got out of the service, we said, let's move back towards your family some. I love Chicago. It is a wonderful, wonderful city. But I looked for about 30 seconds, and I was like, there is no way I can live in Chicago.
Country boy like you?
Relatively speaking, country boy, yes. But I was like, there's just no way. And then my wife, bless her heart, she's like, but honey, we won't live in the city. We'll live in the suburbs. I'm like, same thing. Like, it's all one big city to me. I'm used to towns where you can go from one and then there's a 10-minute break. There's some trees, but there ain't no city.
Right.
And I was like, nah, that ain't going to work. So we lived a little bit south, lived there for about 4 years. A little too much snow, a little too many taxes.
That'll do it.
Opportunity presented itself to come to the beach, and so here we are.
Yeah.
Now I get to wear flip-flops to work and look at the ocean every day and work with a great group of people. Life is good.
Yeah. What do you do now exactly?
So I am the operations manager at a mini golf course.
Nice.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not complaining.
That's pretty sweet gig around here.
It's funny because it took time to accept it, right? Like, it took time to, like we were saying, when you're downrange, like, and being a soldier, it's the greatest job in the world.
Yeah.
Then you come out, for me, it was like, let's go make widgets. And it's like, this is not the same thing.
No.
Now, I help run a mini golf course, right? Like, it's about as far from combat deployment as you could imagine.
Yeah.
But I am totally content, totally happy with it and what it means for my life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we can sometimes have whatever plans we want for our life, and then whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and you go from
there.
leading soldiers in Afghanistan to leading 5 folks to run a mini golf course.
Right.
Hey, it is what it is.
So does it mean you're good at mini golf?
Depending on the course, I can hold my own.
Depending on the course, how many drinks? Is it better with drinking or without drinking?
For me,
yeah,
better with.
Yeah,
you don't think about it as much. You just get up there and hit. It's just like playing real golf.
Yeah.
Right? Don't overthink it. You just go.
So do you ever miss the service?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And especially like in the beginning. Oh, I mean, my gosh, it was constantly, daily. That I missed it. Then there's times of year where I miss it. You just think about things that happened at that point, that time frame years ago, and then I talk to some buddies that are still in. That they've progressed, and sometimes I talk to them. I'm like, oh wait a minute, that guy's doing what? Oh, that sounds terrible. Yeah, I'm glad I got out. Like that sounds like a horrible job. And then there's other guys doing things. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Damn. I wonder if I had stayed in, could I have done that?
You go through all the motions in your head.
Cool. Every now and then, I'll see stuff on the news that, like, whatever bad thing is happening. I'm like, okay, let's see. Who's probably over there? Okay, yeah. And so on and so forth, and start thinking through it. And it's like, there's moments like that.
Yeah.
But then, inevitably, at some point, my teenage daughter starts screaming about something and snaps me back into reality.
Kids have a way of doing that.
Yeah. So it's like, nope, this is where I'm supposed to be now.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
You make sure your teenage daughter knows if she brings anybody home that you don't like, you have ways of making that problem stop being a problem?
But both of them are fully aware. I will say that. There's a few ground rules in my house, and heaven forbid the boy pulls up in a car, beeps the horn, and thinks you're just going to run out. Like,
ooh.
Ooh. And they know stuff like that's not going to happen.
You ever see that scene in Den of Thieves where this guy comes to take 50 Cent's daughter out, and he's got all his boys hanging out in the garage, like doing pull-ups, drinking tequila.
No,
Yeah,
I haven't
no,
seen it.
oh, man.
Makes me think of, I think that was a similar scene in Bad Boys.
Bad Boys, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
This young cat Reggie's come to take my daughter out.
And that's where it's like, people, they talk like, oh, you got a shotgun? I was like, well, maybe. Really none of your business, but, man, if you got them girls, you got to have something and all this. And I'm like, yeah, or you just hope that you raise them right and they know better.
Yeah.
And, or they get really good at lying, which they're not.
No.
They're just
Not to dad, that's for sure.
No, they're not.
Might be able to beat mom, but.
I don't think so.
No.
Not even in my house. No, I don't think so in my house. No, they know,
Yeah.
right? I mean, when it's all said and done, you think they're good kids, and like I said, we'll see what life throws at us. See what happens.
See how it
But
goes.
Yeah. That's kind of me in a nutshell, I'll say.
Nice.
Yeah.
From a leader of the services to a leader on the golf course and home.
Leader mini golf. Yeah. It's fun though, man. I mean, that's
cool.
We can pay the bills, provide the life that my family needs, wants.
It's worth it.
It's
At
great.
the end of the day.
And again, I live at the beach.
Yeah. It's hard to beat that.
So
A lot of people don't get that.
No.
No.
And it surprises me sometimes when people that do live here, they're like, "Oh, I haven't stepped foot on the beach in 5 years, 10 years." Like, yeah, that sucks for you.
I can honestly say I'm one of those people who goes like maybe once or twice a year.
Okay, well you go.
But I go. Well, right. Like I make a point of it.
Like I don't know when I last put my feet in the sand, but again, I see the ocean every day.
Every day.
And that's enough for me.
Yeah.
But
so what's can you share with me your best memory in service?
My best memory?
Yeah, like either a really cool op or like something that you can share that doesn't get you in a jam, but like maybe people don't know or appreciate because they don't know.
Something kind of funny. So
we like funny here.
So I was a second lieutenant. Obviously I'm ready to go. I mean, shit, I've been training for years, and let's go. I'm gonna get to my unit, and they're gonna be gung ho soldiers. Or let's go to war.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they were, but there were a lot of new guys, like a lot. I was like, oh shit! Thank the Lord, I had a great platoon sergeant that kept things in line. Had great junior NCOs that managed their squads and made my job so simple. Maybe they didn't trust me. Hell, I don't know. They didn't want me making any real decisions. But I had CQ duty one night, and so something like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, go around, make my rounds, and I'm walking from one barracks building across the parking lot to the other, and I look. Needless to say, there's a couple of soldiers on the roof.
Oh God!
And making their way down what appears to be bed sheets.
Rappelling with bed sheets.
Yep. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? Yeah, so we can't tell them to get down. Like, well, like, oh my God. Told them to, like, all right, you get down, everybody else stop. I kept it simple. I went in, found the NCO in charge, and I'm like, bro, do you know they're outside rappelling?
Well, yeah. How does that conversation just like...
I mean, basically it was that. It's like, hey, Sergeant, so-and-so, you know you got guys outside rappelling? Oh, shit. Do I need to go any further? No, sir, I'll take care of it. Outstanding. I'm going to walk away now. I'll come back later, and I'm sure it'll be done and everybody's in bed. Yes, sir. Okay. Great. Because heaven forbid something else happened. And it was like, I mean, that's how I worked, And sure enough, came back about 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, and he's just sitting there like nothing had happened. It's like, how's the night going? He's like, oh, just fine, sir. Perfect. Great. Everybody in the rooms? Yes, sir. They going to be coming out? Not even to take a piss. Sounds great.
Wonderful.
Like, oh my God. And that's kind of where I started learning, like, our unit had just great guys, great soldiers, great NCOs that they were going to take care of each other, right? Now, don't get me wrong. If some guy had fallen, Jesus, who knows what would have happened. But
that'd be bad.
And when it's all said and done, like these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids,
yeah,
they weren't doing anything that I wasn't really doing in college.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, granted, I didn't rappel out my dorm room window, but...
You got to give them some credit, though.
Well, one guy had just come back from air assault school, and so he was like,
Check it out.
he had all this knowledge to spread.
They cover rappelling with bed sheets in air assault school.
I mean, he thought they did. I was like, all right, guys.
Something I didn't know.
Yeah, I was like, all right, if that's what we're doing. So that was one, like, that's just kind of one of the funny ones, right?
Yeah.
And then we, one of them that's kind of a little bit more serious, but maybe I've over-exaggerated it over the years, but weird shit, right? Like, so I was in a striker unit, so 8-wheeled armored vehicle, running around the city, and one of our guys' trucks went down, so he took my truck.
Just for everybody who doesn't know, what is a striker 8-wheel?
Yeah, so it's think like a tank, but instead of tracks, it's 8 wheels.
Like an MRAP or like an APC?
More like an APC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not like a big gun of any kind. Well, some of them do, but we had 50 cals and Mark 19 grenade launchers, so wheeling around Iraq.
Nothing big.
But yeah, nothing big. Not like a howitzer or anything. Or like a main gun on a tank. So he took it out, and then they took contact and came back, and he had taken a round straight to the bulletproof glass that was right in front of him. And it was just like, not necessarily was going to be my mission, but still it's my truck, and like, how close could things have been, right? Yeah. Everybody was fine on that one, no big deal. But it's like little things like that just happen, right?
Yeah.
And then we had another platoon. They got let's just call it an ambush. That's the easiest way to describe it. So they got ambushed, got off the mark, and got back to the cache, the combat hospital.
Yeah.
And I was there to receive them. And a couple of guys were, they were messed up. Luckily, nobody died, but definitely messed up. Had to evac some guys. I was the XO at the time, so I was in charge of logistics and maintenance and some other things like that from the officer planning side, if you will. The reason they were able to be ambushed, if you will, is a truck broke down. And it's like, why did that truck break down? Well, I didn't push hard enough to get them through maintenance when they were supposed to, because this, that, XYZ, so we made a decision, and I knew they probably needed to come in. Now, could they have come in for their routine maintenance and the truck still broke down? Sure. But you play these games, right, in your head.
The what-if games.
And what ifs and what could have happened, and again, luckily, nobody died. Again, some guys got messed up pretty good, but, that's just one of those, for lack of a better term, a small burden of leadership, I guess.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't realize, like, leadership does take a lot of, like, you got to shoulder that weight, play that what-if game, like, deal with it on your own, like, emotional, mental level. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just, like, the fact that some guys got messed up and they got to deal with that. It's, like, your guys,
but yeah,
all these other things that play into it.
Absolutely. It's my family that got hurt, and it was my job to prevent that from happening, right? Did I do everything I could?
Yeah.
So was that. And then the other funny one, so we were in West Africa, out in the desert a little bit, the Sahara Desert a little ways, and nothing around.
That's got to be cool, though, like from a perspective of geography, being out in the Sahara. Was it kind of cool?
I mean, it was really hot. It wasn't cool.
No, I mean, cool.
I know. No, it was. I mean, it's
like we don't have that here.
It's just totally different than anywhere else in the world, man. I mean, you can talk about deserts of Afghanistan or desert of Iraq. I don't know. It's like the desert of Iraq or even parts of Afghanistan, which I only saw the desert region of Afghanistan, but like the deserts that we were in Iraq, like you felt like there was civilization at least close.
Yeah.
Out there, you don't have to go far, and you're like, it doesn't even feel like I'm close to a fellow human being. That's because you're not.
Bumblefuck. Like,
I mean,
true bumblefuck.
It is like, I mean, they say, the other side of Egypt or, whatever, but it's like, dude, it's middle of fucking nowhere. So we're out there one day, and we had stopped, take a break, and we're literally just driving in pickup trucks, like think about just regular old pickup trucks.
Toyotas.
Yep. And we're hanging out, and our interpreter, he kind of starts looking, and he was from there. Like, he knew he would guide us on the roads, because the roads would actually change with the winds and the way it would blow the dunes and everything. Like, so the road would move.
That's trippy.
Like from like 1 week to the next, right?
Yeah.
And so he starts looking, and I'm like, you all right, man? He's like, we have a visitor. I don't see anything. we got to get Shaq some water or something. Like, whatever's happening is, like, he's seeing shit. Nope. About 5 minutes later, here's this man standing 20 feet away from us. Where did this guy just come from? Like,
What?
like, are we all seeing this? Oh, yeah. Shaq went over to talk to him. Yeah, he's from wherever, and he just seeing what we were up to.
In the desert, seeing what you're doing.
Does he have a herd or something? Like, definitely not, because there's no grounds to graze on. It's like, seriously, like, where did this guy come from? Nobody knows.
Just a guy.
And apparently it's like, it's a thing, you know, out there. There are Bedouin type folks, and
I've met Bedouins.
you know, but he was all by his lonesome, and we were like, all right. I'm not saying it's the scariest thing I've ever been a part of, but it was definitely weird.
That's weird.
And it was like, you're not going to have that shit in Myrtle Beach.
No, like,
Right? Like, that's one of those experiences, like, you can't even hardly describe it.
I'm pretty sure if I saw that going down like a road in like Little River or Lake Longs or somewhere out in the cut, like I'd be like, all right,
But
this is like Jason territory. Like I'm out. Like,
Yeah.
this is Chainsaw Massacre.
I mean, and, you know, you're out there in the middle of the desert where you know there is terrorist or at least quasi-terrorist like activity happening. So, like, I mean, you're prepared as best you can be. Then, like, you know, this guy comes out of nowhere. It's like, dude, this is a bad dude. Like he's a tough son of a bitch.
Just out wandering the desert.
Like-
I would say so.
Like, I don't know where he came from, what he's doing, or anything else. And we were just like, all right, well, he's not hurting us. It doesn't seem like he's trying to hurt anybody else. Enjoy your walk, I guess. He didn't want water. He didn't want anything.
How do you just leave that conversation off? Like you're out here patrol, traveling, whatever it is, and just happen upon a guy who's
Well, he happened upon us, right? Like, he came to us, and so our interpreter was talking to him about what we were doing, where we were headed, and just kept doing his thing.
was this guy part of any group or any associated?
No idea. No indications, no.
Okay.
Like, as far as saying, like, he was, like, military, no, he was an old dude.
Just a old traveling Saharan
Guy. Yeah.
guy.
And, no, like, the idea that he was,
crazy.
like, a watch or something, maybe. You know, is he going to report back to some organization that we were out there? Maybe. But, like, he was just out there. And it was just like, what the fuck? Like, where are we? Is this the Twilight Zone? Like, so, you know, it's just weird things like that. Craziness like that that happens in the military that I don't know how things like that are going to happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right? And same thing with, like, you know, blaming yourself for stuff, right? Like, some of that might be the same as being like the dad, the man in the house. Like, if my kid gets hurt, like, okay, well, I told you to stop touching the hot stove.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, like, I don't feel bad about that one. But then when, like, stop babying it, you're fine, suck it up, blah, blah, blah. And then you go get an x-ray and it's like, oh shit, your arm is broken. Damn. My bad.
I shouldn't have gone for that mile run as a punishment.
Like, oops. You know, so I mean, you carry some of that, but the I don't know. I tell people, like, if you're thinking about being in the military, like, yeah, I encourage the vast majority of people to do it.
Yeah,
because you will experience life in a way that you will not do it anywhere else.
Would you say it's more fulfilling than going about your norms here stateside?
No, not now. I won't.
No,
it's look, my journey after the military has been fairly bouncy, I guess. I have leaned on the VA a lot for mental health and some other things. And when you talk about a fulfilling life, was it easy enough to sit there and say, yeah, being a soldier and leading men in combat and, you know, furthering the betterment of the United States and the interest of the United States and defending the Constitution, is that a higher calling than running a mini golf course? Yeah, I think that's easy enough to say, sure, probably. There's greater consequences for one over the other. But with where I'm at and what I was doing, leading soldiers and now leading my family and relying on my faith to live my life that way is more fulfilling than it ever was as a soldier. That journey in and of itself has been rocky.
Yeah.
But to me, that's where I'm at now. Is it's like, look, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I do know where I'm going to go if I die. So what else do I have to really be worried about? that's different than when I was in the Army of, yeah, shit, I'm a bad mother. Like, we got body armor, we got lots of bullets, we got some highly trained dudes, and we're going to go do whatever it is we got to go do today. And if you died, then that shit happens.
Right.
That's how I viewed it for myself, my life, right?
I think you kind of have to view it like that when you're in service.
Yeah.
Especially with that type of role.
I mean, I think most of the guys that I was with and gals that I worked with, that's how they did it, right? That's how they saw it. And now it's just different. I don't know what tomorrow's going to be. I can't prepare for everything like I did for those individual missions and operations and everything else.
Yeah.
Not everything. You can prepare, but not like that.
Not
Even
like
if you
that,
do
no.
prepare, like, I mean, again, you had 40 infantry dudes and 4 heavily armored vehicles with some pretty decent sized weapon systems.
You can't roll around like that.
We could do a lot. We could help a lot of people. We could hurt a lot of people if we had to. Didn't matter. Like, I mean, there was a lot of things you could do.
Yeah.
You can't roll around like that. You can't have a team like that. You can't have a business like that.
I mean, you could, but you'd have to be a PMC.
Yeah, but even then, like, I mean, like when we would roll around in Iraq, like, vehicles cleared the road.
Yeah.
We had the right of way. Like, you can't do that down 501. God, I wish
That would
you
be something to
could.
see.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, what special license do I have to get to where traffic gets out of my way on 501? I'll figure it out. No, you
don't even get that as a cop here.
No. Like, you simply have to, roll with it.
Right.
And, I'll be honest with you, like, traffic in Iraq and then a little bit in Africa too, that was a very emotional event for me at times to be in some of those traffic conditions.
Oh, yeah.
And then sure enough, I get out here on 501 and sometimes that shit comes back. And so now it's like, where are we going? Oh, we got to go down 501. Honey, you drive. Like, I'm going to sit here and hope for the best.
That's understandable.
Because otherwise I start driving and it takes about 30 seconds and it's like, okay, what were all those techniques I'm supposed to go through now? And, that's better than how it used to be, though. It used to, at times I think scare my kids and everything else. It's like, so, that's been almost 10 years that I got out now.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 10 years, and it's taken, I mean, I still do. I still go to the appointments with the VA and medications and things like that. But it's a lot better now than it was. And I'd say it probably took about 8 years to get to this point. It is what it is.
Yeah. So what's some advice you'd give to the generations that are getting in now?
That are getting in?
Yeah, and then some that are thinking about getting out.
So I would say if you're thinking about getting out of the military, which you will at some point.
Everybody
right?
has
I mean,
to.
you're going to get out at some point. Just know that you will forever have been a service member, but you won't always be one, right? You can remember those times and that service and those people, but the rest of the world just simply doesn't behave like a military organization.
That's true.
Which, in many ways, sucks. And we might be a better place if we did, but we don't.
Right.
And you can't force that upon folks. Now, there's certain jobs you can go get where you feel like you're still in the military. Go for it. But that's the biggest thing. Don't put your identity solely in that uniform. It's a part of you, but it's not you.
I think that's important.
And I think that takes time for a lot of us.
100%.
But I think that's part of it. Now, folks that want to go in, I have this debate with some of my family members from time to time that I don't think mandatory service should be a real thing. Not in the military, anyway. Now, should you have to go serve your country in the Peace Corps, or State Department, or serve your local community at a food bank or anything else? Maybe. But the military is not for everyone. So the first thing I would say is, like, if you're thinking about it, like, okay, why? What do you think you're going to get out of it? Free college? Oh, well, scholarships and grants can do that for you. And you don't have to get yelled at. You know,
You don't have to get smoked every day.
yeah, you don't have to get smoked. You don't have to, potentially you don't have to get shot at. It just depends. So, why do you want to do it? Right. For me, it was, dare I say, part of my birthright. My grandpa, dad had all been in. We've had generations in pretty much every war. Had some uncles in World War One, but no like direct line. But so I felt like that was part of it. Then I grew up watching G.I. Joe. Like, that's what I'm gonna go do, right? Like,
Yeah.
What could be better than that? So that was what I was supposed to do. 100% proud that I served my country. And I think if that's all you want to do is serve your country, then again, the military is a great way to do it, but there's other ways to do it too.
Absolutely.
And just be ready for what the military is going to throw at you, because there are going to be times where you're sleeping in the rain or eating cold food or no food, and because that's what it takes. If that's what it takes for the mission to succeed, for others to be before yourself, that's the life you need to be ready for. Now, is the Army the best one for folks? I'm not going to say it is by any means. I mean, you were in the Coast Guard. How many Coast Guard bases are not near a beach? There's a few, I'm sure.
There's a handful.
There's a handful, but for the most part, you're going to be
You got surf school in Seattle, but like they do some pretty cool shit over there.
I mean, but that's still near the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be near the beach.
Not a bad way to go.
The Air Force, I think, has some horrible duty stations, but they also have some really good ones.
Right.
So to me, it's kind of silly to think like that, but it's like, just think about the life that you're committing to. Say you want to be in the Army or the Marine Corps. Okay, there's no guarantee you're going to be in one of the nice places.
Yeah.
100%. You want to be in the Navy, but you don't want to be on a boat? There's some of those jobs. So, I mean, that's kind of where I guide people when, I had this senior boy the other year that he was looking to go in the Army. He had no idea what else he wanted to do. It's like, well, the military will help give you some kind of education, some kind of direction. And if nothing else, you might learn what you don't want to do. I don't want to work for a mammoth organization that doesn't always move quickly.
Yeah.
Like the federal government.
Well, we've learned that a lot recently.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
And I mean, that's just it. It's like, but no, like, even if you go work for just whatever big company, big companies don't move quick, usually.
And a lot of the time, you are not top priority.
No.
Actually, 99% of the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all kinds of the things to think about if you're looking at the military. But now, that being said, if you think you're tough and want to see just how tough you are, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a Marine Corps recruiter near you, right? Like,
there's an Army recruiter near you.
Yeah. But let's not take anything away from the Marine Corps. Like, if you think you're tough, you're gonna get tested there.
Oh yeah.
The Army, it's gonna depend on which basic training you go to exactly, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And listen, my brother-in-law's in the Navy. I'm so glad we have the Navy, but I don't know why anybody would want to live in those conditions. I mean, it's cool. Those are some big boats, ships.
Yeah, don't call them boats.
Yeah, but
you can call the Coast Guard boats.
But the whole idea of like not being able to roll over without hitting a pipe, or not being able to sit up in my bed and everything, like, nah, bro, I'm good. No. I don't need that in my life.
No.
Yep, I have slept on the ground, used the rock as a pillow.
I'd honestly rather use the ground.
Yeah, I mean that was more my speed. So
yeah.
Anyway,
at least you can make yourself comfortable on the ground.
Or if you're tired enough, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That's where I always go. Anytime my kids start talking about like, I'm hungry, but I don't want this or that. Well, you're not hungry enough. Tired, I just can't get settled. You're not tired enough. You'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll live.
Yeah.
You don't bring up the Space Force at all.
I don't know what they do.
Me neither.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. All that happened well after I was gone, and I'm like, I don't know what they do.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think they're a department of the Air Force.
I think it's cool that you could be a Space Ranger, though. I think that has got to be every like '90s kid's like dream after Toy Story. Like you can go to Ranger School in the Space Force and get Space Ranger tabs.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I don't know how you really integrate that, and I'd love to meet one and like find out because that would be like I feel like I'd be forced to change my last name to Lightyear.
And they're guardians, right?
Yeah, and they have the little Star Trek symbol, so like being a nerd, like 100%, that's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think it's still hard for me to wrap my brain around it.
oh yeah, 100%.
Like, okay, thought we were kind of all guardians of the country or whatever, but I guess they're guardians of the galaxy. I don't know. I don't know.
The true Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel's based off a real movie.
What?
Marvel's based off real life. Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
Like, they got that damn fox or whatever you start talking to.
I'm sure that's at some DARPA facility.
That would make me want to go to the Space Force.
Yeah, 100%.
If I'd have like talking animals on my team and shit, that could be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you talked a little bit about like getting, different groups of people like ready for whatever it could be, whether they need farmland or, ready for a threat or something like that. You think that Uncle Sam has done right by the people with everything else we got going on in terms of that? Or you think they should maybe refocus that
Which
role?
people?
Us. America. Homeland.
Oh, no. I mean, I personally think that the American government, the federal government, has not done nearly enough for us. Like, there's so much attention, so much effort, so many resources, so much money, et cetera, put over in foreign lands. What good intentions, bad timing, whatever.
Right place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Wrong place, still wrong time.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time, like any of it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to act like I know what the answer is. I can just look and I know what I did, what I saw being done, and know that that's some dumb shit. Like, dude, I've got a 4-year undergrad degree from North Carolina State University. Like, I didn't go to some grandiose school and whatever else, insert whatever, Ivy League, Oxford, whatever else. Like, but I can sit here and tell you that the people in this village have literally never left it.
And they've done okay.
They know that there's people on the other side of that mountain, and they see the road. There is a road that leads to it, and they have never been there. Never. What do they know? They know, the equivalent of 3 acres of land out here that they farm. They know where their water point is. They know where to send their boy to school because girls aren't allowed, and so on and so forth. This is the world they know. And you want to come in and start talking about any number of things, right? Kind of goes to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's like these folks, they're not sure they're going to have food next week. And you want to start talking about democracy and shit. Like, that ain't for them yet.
Yeah.
Good intentions. We ain't there yet.
No.
Granted, you look here, I don't think the government has done enough specifically to empower communities and individuals to better their life.
That's fair.
That's one of the things that I think is missing. I'm not going to sit here and say that I think the government needs to come in and provide this and that and do this and show this and whatever else. No. But we have the ability to train, educate, show people a better way of life if they want it.
Right.
And if they don't want it,
cool.
So be it.
Yeah. There's plenty of people who do want it.
That's just it. And we could help them do that.
Right.
How much help does the federal government need to be providing?
It's a different story.
We could have that debate ongoing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But bottom line is, I do think there's too many resources being put outside this country that could be kept in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's me.
No, I agree with that. I think if they deployed the Army Corps of Engineers, at least 501 wouldn't have any potholes. Like Like that's just one small thing, you know. Maybe widening 95. Just let's start with a small list of things that would help like a lot.
Like a what?
like an outrageous amount that could fix so many other little problems.
I just, as we talk about 501.
For those of you who don't know,
God.
501, when I moved here, was a 2-lane road. And I think it was 2 lanes on both sides, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
And it was like your only way in and out to the beach.
It was the main artery.
Yeah.
The one and only artery.
And you, like, if you showed up on a Thursday,
Oh.
not even peak season,
No.
but like any time it was good weather, you were on 501, which is like maybe what, 30 miles long from like the time you get into Horry County?
I don't even know if it's that far, but yeah, maybe.
You'd be on it for 4 hours.
Oh, it could be easily 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Easily. So now we've widened it.
Has it helped? Nah.
I mean, I still get stressed out whenever I know I have to drive on 501.
Right.
Like, no. Not for me, it hasn't helped. And in particular, like, we have to come all the way down 501 to the bridge, which they didn't widen the bridge.
No, they bottlenecked it right at the end.
So it's like, oh, okay, so now the bottleneck just happens here instead of all the way back here. Oh, okay. Like, it just...
Which almost makes the bottleneck worse.
Yeah. And but
shorter bottleneck.
This past weekend, I was this past weekend? I don't even know what day it is. Yeah, that's right. This past weekend, we were up in Annapolis, Maryland, where again the Navy is big there.
Yeah, huge.
Not big fans of the Army there. But we were there for NC State.
At least they can win a football game.
Which one?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were about to talk about my team. I was like, buddy, come on now.
No.
So yeah, we were up there for state ECU, and we're coming home on Sunday, and trying to drive through DC on a random Sunday, and then into
Gross.
Virginia. It was just I was like, oh God, no. I couldn't imagine trying to do this, every day of my life.
For people who live in Alexandria and then work there.
Oh God, I was just like, no way, man. I mean, that was just nutty to me. And again, we were driving at 10, 15 miles an hour. And it's like, what are we stalled up for? Like, what is the problem? There's not a lot of people merging or trying to cut across traffic to get over. It's just traffic. It's like, oh, no. I don't need any of that.
No, absolutely not. Oh, personally, I wouldn't mind moving out to, North Carolina. Not necessarily all the way to Western North Carolina, but, outside Charlotte, like Statesville. So at least, even getting into Charlotte, it might be a little bit of traffic, but it's not that bad.
Not like that. It's not like Northern Virginia.
No.
No, that's good. That's good country up there. We were up there in Boone first part of December for a graduation. And, it reminds me, the mountains are beautiful, but I'm a beach guy. Like, it was starting to get cold that morning when we left, and I was like, no. My kids are upset because we don't get to see snow as much, but it's like, well, you want to shovel snow or you want to go put your toes in the sand? Toes in the sand. Okay.
Yeah, my kids are going on the snow thing.
It's like, no, I'll send you.
We'll go visit.
Yeah, we'll go visit, or I'll put you on an airplane. You can go see Grandma and Grandpa out in Colorado. Like, they got snow.
Yeah. Have fun.
I'm good. But, yeah. I don't know. You start thinking about, like, what else could the government do? And I honestly think if the government got smaller, that would probably be better for all of us.
I agree.
Especially, and again, I'm saying, like, federal government. Like, different state governments might be just fine. I don't know. For what it's worth, I'm very happy here in South Carolina with the way our state does things. Particularly compared to even some of the things that happen up north in North Carolina. I say up north, but just across the border from us. I mean, look, if that's the way they want to take their state, then good on them.
Yeah.
But then you have some of the other ones, and I'm just like, I just don't understand.
New York.
I'm not going to say that you're right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't understand, and I'm not going to be a part of it.
Right.
New York, Illinois, Jersey,
California.
Oh
God, no! I could never go to I visited it when I was a teenager. I'm like, I don't ever want to be here. Like, I thought it was cool to go see Hollywood sign. It was like, yeah, let's sit in traffic in a tour bus full of 60 teenage kids with raging hormones going to see the Hollywood sign. There were some good times involved there, but goddamn,
we were So my wife and I, we drove out of Alaska, went down the Pacific Coast Highway a little bit, and I fell in love with California. Beautiful. Love it, especially Northern California.
Yeah.
From like San Francisco north and, I guess that's east, Yosemite and the redwoods and all that. I mean, that is absolutely beautiful country and good people. Everybody we interacted with were awesome.
Good people. Yeah.
And so when we were getting out of the Army, it was like, we love Northern California. Let's take a look there. And again, I was like, well, honey, we can't afford to live there. Like, I don't know what the hell these people do for a living, but like, we can't live there.
Right.
And then I was like, you hear the jokes about California politics. And so like, I did a little research. I was like, oh, no, honey, we ain't moving to California. We just can't do it.
No. Their politics have gotten outrageous.
Well, yeah, and they're even worse now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think if we just left the governor, things might have gotten better.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, just let him
like
run
he
it
was
for
doing fine.
15 years and it'd have been fine.
But no, like, between there, now you start talking like Wyoming, Montana. I've never been there, but I can't imagine that their politics are that crazy.
So my father-in-law, you met Tom, he wants to move to Wyoming.
Okay.
He wants a ranch out there. He wants like the whole deal. And I'm like,
Just live it up.
go ahead, man. Like I'm all for it. I'll come visit you, but there's not enough.
No,
for me to like.
It makes me think of where we were up in Alaska. So we were up in central Alaska, Fairbanks, and there were plenty of people there that were not affiliated with the Army. There were super left, super right, everything in between, every type of people, every color, shape, everybody. And it's like, what are y'all up? Like, why? Why did you move from Florida, Minnesota, wherever they came from, and they lived there because they wanted to get away?
That's a good place to get away.
Everybody had that in common. Super left, super right, didn't matter. Politics did not play into it. They all wanted to get away. They wanted to get away so that they could do what they wanted to do. Whatever their lifestyle was, they wanted to be left alone.
That'd be the place to do it, honestly.
Absolutely.
I could be convinced to go to Alaska.
Absolutely. And again, like, but then the flip side of that was how helpful your community would be for you, right? It was kind of understood that, like, if you saw a vehicle broke down on the side of the road, you stopped and made sure that there was either nobody there or they didn't need help or whatever else. Like, you had to stop. Because if it's negative 50 and they don't have heat,
that's a problem.
They could die.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this isn't like, oh, they were dumb and ran out of gas. Like, that's fine. You can pick on them later, but, like, they might actually freeze to death.
Right. Take them to the bar, pick them in there.
And so people took care of each other in that regard.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have that here.
No.
No.
I mean, not like that. And I'm not saying you have to, but I am saying they had that commonality in Alaska to where they took care of each other. And if you want to be left alone, by God, they'd leave you alone. You want to live off the grid and no running water and come to the city, once a month to fill up your tank and get some provisions, no problem. See you later.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely not the same down here.
No. I think our neighborhood's pretty good.
I think so.
I think we probably have one of the best ones.
Look, we can pick on each other and we can talk junk about the property management company or anything else all we want, but like when push comes to shove, we are there to help each other.
Yeah, 100%.
I think parts of Myrtle Beach are like that. I think parts of the state are like that, but it's not. By no means am I going to say that it's across the board.
No.
Now, regionally, I think it's understood, like, when Helene hit the mountains, the greater southeast region kind of pulled together and helped out.
Yeah.
And especially, the community and good doers around that were like, oh, the government's not there, FEMA's not there, whoever else isn't there, or they're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Time to spin up and go help out.
I can load up the truck and let's go do something.
Yeah.
Right? It is what it is.
Yeah. I think that was a big show for like the world over, like especially like the general region of where we are is like shit happens. Like we're good. Like we will all be good with each other. We'll work it out and we'll help each other and then go about our business once the problem's handled.
Yeah. And that's just it. That's exactly it. And again, I'm sure that the government can sit there and articulate very greatly why things move the way they do, why they weren't ready, or why it took a week to get this and that, and so on and so forth. That's fine. But until you got your shit together, we will help each other.
Yeah. And you can't fault us for that.
No.
No.
They'll
So
try.
when they turn around and start faulting people and telling,
Yeah.
like tier 1 dudes who know a buddy who's got a chopper and like go out there and evac people and then try to shut them down, it's like,
Yep.
is that really in the best interest?
Yeah.
You just sound stupid.
Yep. That's just it. Oh, well, it may, whatever. Whatever reasoning they come up with, it's like, no, bro.
No.
No.
Sit down.
But yeah, that's, I don't know. That's kind of where my brain is with the government. I think ultimately, the smaller the federal government can be, the better.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
And we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So what do you think about what's happened the last few days here?
Last few days.
Yeah. In the United States, the attacks, all that, like.
Yeah.
I watch Sean Ryan's show. I don't know if you've watched it.
Mm-mm.
He's a former SEAL, Special Activities Group guy, CIA. Okay. So he interviews people, and he has this lady, Sarah Adams, who writes for his newsletter and regularly on his podcast, talking about. I saw the episode sometime in December. It aired, talking about AQ has prepared for a homeland attack here. They're talking about the tactics, the Fahadeen, the different types of fighters they've trained, and then almost prophetically, we've now had attacks here on the homeland that are like on par for what an AQ and ISIS, a Taliban would do. What are your thoughts on so we've experienced the last 4 years under our brilliant commander-in-chief, if you want to call him that. And now we're seeing this going into a new administration.
I think it'll be interesting with the new administration to see exactly what happens, right? A lot of things have been talked about, and I think he will follow through on the vast majority of it. Do I think these attacks are clearly the markings of a highly trained, highly organized terrorist organization? Yeah, maybe. In particular, I could see them. These are tests.
It feels like a test round.
I mean, that's what it is.
We have these drones that there's plenty of speculation on that, and we're not going to get in the weeds on that. But
no, I think,
then you have this happen.
Yeah, I think it's almost like what we would if you were on a patrol, you would call it a probing attack.
Yeah.
Right. Strategic level. This is a probing attack.
Test response.
And I think that makes sense. I'm sure any number of people can argue that and tell me why I'm wrong, but it's my opinion. So.
And you've got some experience to back up that opinion.
Yeah. How do we stop it? How do we combat it? Well, it's counterterrorism.
You think the people can do anything? Granted, New Year's Day was probably the smartest probing they could do. Everybody's out getting freaking hammered. Nobody's worried about their own security. It's like, New Year's Day, man. Let's get wasted on Bourbon Street.
And so how do you prevent those type of attacks from happening? Well, let's just get stupid. You get rid of vans and trucks and everything else, right? Those are no longer on the road. Well, that's not going to happen.
Right.
You can stop mass gatherings, right?
That's going to be a problem in itself.
Well,
especially on a holiday.
Well, that's just it. It's you can do that, but now hasn't the terrorist won? If that's your goal, if you're okay, well, we're just not going to celebrate New Year's Eve. We're not going to have this large gathering. They have successfully disrupted our way of life.
Which is part of their goal.
Absolutely. Anyway, the more and more you can subdue the population and then coerce them to do what you want, So if people are afraid to go out, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's not how we live in this country.
No, not at all. I think it falls on people, though, to be...
Now, what do the people
have some level of situational awareness.
Situational awareness. Yeah.
And, I think at bare minimum, they could have instituted better checkpoints.
Oh, absolutely.
And apparently just checkpoints.
And apparently even some of the barricades were recently removed.
Yeah.
That made this more accessible. Which, we can call that timing, or we can call that maybe they've been watching. Maybe they've been watching the various big cities, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, they've taken these barriers down. Now we can You know, they start connecting the dots. These people aren't dumb.
No, they're not.
Okay, look, you can say all day long that, like, oh, well, anybody that wants to blow themselves up must be stupid, blah, blah, blah. Look, you say whatever the hell you want. They're not dumb.
No, it's planned.
They're
it's not like one day they wake up and go, let's throw on an S-Fest and go to Chick-fil-A.
It's fairly sophisticated.
Like, yeah.
I mean, some of it's simple, but, like, they put 2 and 2 together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think as far as the American public, the general, kind of what you're doing here, right? I mean, it's general preparedness, general readiness, situational awareness. Not just how can you and your family be ready for the hurricane in Myrtle Beach or for the car wreck that you're in, but how can you be ready for when you go to Disney World and there's tens of thousands of people and then shit goes down and tens and thousands of people are all moving in one direction real fast. How do you keep control of yourself and your family?
Right.
Right? That's a true experience, by the way.
Really?
That happened to me. And it
What
was
happened?
like,
What happened?
like at Disney, so we were watching the parade, and one of the floats that breathes fire, like caught a tree on fire, and then it caught on, then the tree, I guess, to whatever extent, fell on the float, and then the float caught on fire. And,
Oh, shit.
you know, and Mickey and Minnie are back here at the tail end, like, why are we not moving? And then, like, ladders come out of nowhere and go up to the top of this one, and Minnie and Mickey are walking down the ladder and shit, and they're evacuating the parade and all the grounds, and it's like, you got, some people were entertained by it, like, oh my God, it's on fire. No shit, it's on, like, it ain't supposed to be, man.
No, that's not how that works.
Like, so yeah, there's needless to say, there's some people doing that. There's some people that start running, but hey, you know, credit to the Disney crew or whatever they call themselves, employees, they all remained calm. Well, I had a damn partial meltdown because shit went wild real quick and I couldn't react the way that I wanted to.
Right.
And so I started shutting down, and they helped me even get to somewhere that I could calm down and everything else. But it's like, you know, what do you do when that stuff happens? If you were one of those right by the float when it caught on fire and 15 people are beside you, they start freaking out and running every which way. Like, what do you do? And I don't think the average American by any means thinks through situational awareness.
Right.
Oh, I'm going here, or we're going there. How much am I going to drink, or how am I driving? There's plenty of people that don't even think that far.
No, not at all.
Now, a lot of them now, yeah, I can get an Uber or I can do a whatever, but like, they don't.
One small piece of
That's just it.
one small.
They don't go the rest of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's getting to the point now, I've started having conversations with my kids. Like, look, right, wrong, or indifferent, you're a teenage girl. You are going to be more of a target than the average teenage boy.
Yeah, 100%.
So be ready, you know, and think. It's the biggest thing. And we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to think. We don't want to take responsibility for our own actions. Now, I'm not saying, like, look, I you know, told my kid, we were at the University of South Carolina, and I was like, look, you're going to stay by me, like, hold on to me. There's enough people, like,
Swept up real quick.
I mean, damn. And then you're leaving the game at night, and it's like, no, we're going to go this way. It's the longer way, but I see more lights. So we're going to go that way.
Right.
The other path was probably totally fine. But it's like, no, why walk in the dark if you don't have to? People don't think like that.
Also, you can avoid going with the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to be the bigger target? The guy with a couple of his family members,
Mm-hmm.
or the crowd of 10,000 fans?
That's it. And that's the kind of stuff that I just don't by any means think the average person thinks about.
No.
Not even a clue. They just go. Mm-hmm.